I made the mistake of reading an article online about how to tell if your spouse is cheating on you. The article had 9 factors by which one could determine whether there was cheating. This came to my attention because my wife, Jenny, who I have been married to for 20 years, has been acting strange lately. After I read the article, it turns out that Jenny scored 5 out of 9 points. First, suspicious calls, after which she pretended that it didn't mean anything. Second, numerous messages that she either denied or wrote off as advertising, but when I asked to see them, she quickly put the phone away. Third, unexplained absences not related to her regular schedule. Fourth, decreased sexual activity. This really describes the last few years of our marriage. Fifth, obvious interest in or spending time with a person of the opposite sex. In Jenny's case, it was our neighbor Craig, a very good friend of mine. After reading the article, I decided that my wife was cheating on me with her neighbor Craig. My name is Chris, and as I said, I've been married to Jenny for 20 years. We have a daughter who is in college and does not live with us. We got married young. Our marriage was good, but not without problems. Our sex life has always been quite vanilla, and lately it has weakened even more. I partly blame myself for this. I myself was not active in bed. I worked a lot and was often tired. My buddy Craig lives next door to his wife Molly. They lived there when we moved. Molly and Craig are a little older than us, and like us, they were left alone after the children left the house. Craig and I are the same build. We're both about 6 feet tall and weigh about 200 pounds. We've been friends since Jenny and I moved in. We play golf, go out for drinks, and just be friends. Molly and Jenny are also close friends, but very different in appearance. My Jenny is a dark brunette with a full chest, 5 feet 7 inches tall. Molly, on the other hand, is a petite blonde with small but perky breasts. Their characters are also different. Jenny is shy and reserved, but can become uninhibited when she drinks. Molly is very sociable, the life of the party. She often flirted with me in front of my wife, which made me feel awkward. It was because of Jenny's shy nature that I was shocked to think that she might be cheating on me. I knew that I was her first lover, and, as I believed, her only one. Now the evidence told me that I was no longer the only one enjoying her body. Yes, I read an article that indicated that my wife was cheating, but there was something else. I caught her lying twice. The first case, I was late at work and called her to say that she did not need to wait for me for dinner. When I returned home a little earlier than planned, she was nowhere to be found. From my bedroom window, I saw her coming back across our yard from the back door of Craig's house. When I asked her where she had been, she said she was gardening in the backyard. 2 days later, I returned home early again and sent her a message that I was on my way home. I saw her run out of Craig's back door again and quickly cross our yard. I was sure that Craig and Jenny were sleeping together, but there was one more thing I needed to check. Molly is a nurse who works a strange schedule. Perhaps Jenny was just visiting Molly, but then why did she lie about it? If Molly was working, it would confirm my suspicions. I called Molly, who confirmed that she was indeed at work the nights I saw Jenny leave their house. When I spoke with Molly, I suggested we meet for lunch to discuss this important matter. She tried to find out everything over the phone, but I insisted on a personal meeting. The next day, I met Molly at her hospital for lunch. I chose a table in the corner so that no one could hear us. Molly looked tense, but clearly not as nervous as I was. I'll get straight to the point. It seems to me that our spouses are cheating on us. I saw Jenny leave your house twice at night when she thought I wasn't home. There are other signs, but everything indicates that they are cheating. I don't know what to do, Molly. I'm sure it's my fault. I work too much and don't pay attention to it. I was amazed at Molly's calmness. I expected her to cry or scream or both. Instead, she calmly asked me about the evidence and what I thought we should do. I outlined my suspicions and reasons. We need more evidence. All we have now is that my wife leaves your house at a strange time. It's hard for me to believe that she is capable of this, but everything points to exactly that. We need to take photos or videos before we confront them with facts. Can you check if they left any marks on your bed? Good idea. Craig definitely wouldn't have thought to change the sheets if that was the case, Molly replied with a laugh. I couldn't believe she was joking. Doesn't it bother you that our spouses are having sex? I can't believe you're so calm about this. Sorry, you're right. I'll check everything, she said. I have an idea. I'll tell Craig that I have a long shift on Monday. You'll tell Jenny you'll be late at work. We can follow them together and see if we catch them doing something. I was glad that she was starting to take it seriously, but I was still concerned about her calmness. We discussed the plan and agreed. Molly was going to check the sheets and text me if she found anything suspicious. She also had to let me know when she told Craig about Monday so we could set up a meeting. In the meantime, I will prepare the camera for filming. That night, I received a text from Molly. She checked the sheets, but found nothing. Over the weekend, she texted that the plan was ready and we would meet in the Sonic parking lot. Monday night, around 7:30, I pulled up to the Sonic and pulled up next to Molly's car. She moved into the front seat of my car. She was wearing an all-black outfit, skinny black jeans, a black V-neck t-shirt, and her hair was pulled back into a ponytail. We agreed to wear dark clothes so as not to be noticed. I couldn't help but notice how attractive she looked. Molly said she left the curtains and blinds open just enough to see without Craig suspecting anything. We drove to a park near their house, figuring it would be a good spot for a stealthy approach. When it began to get dark, we carefully headed towards their house. I had a camera with a zoom lens. Molly had a video camera. The plan was to walk around the house and look through the windows to see what was going on. As we approached the park, we could see both houses. The lights were off in my house, but Molly's was on. We crept behind the house, hiding behind the bushes. We saw a little of the kitchen and part of the living room. Molly's plan to leave the blinds slightly open worked. We could look into the kitchen and living room windows, but they were a little high and the view was limited. We had been watching for about 5 minutes when Craig came into the kitchen. To my relief, he was fully dressed. Molly took out her camera and started filming him pouring water into 2 glasses. This is evidence, Molly said, almost laughing. She asked me to sit her down so she could see better. I grabbed her by the waist and lifted her up. My hands were on her buttocks, which were perfectly felt through her tight jeans. I felt a little uncomfortable because I was holding her butt, but I didn't want her to fall. When I lowered her, she fell awkwardly on top of me. I hugged her to support her. You are strong. Thank you for not letting me fall, she whispered in my ear, pressing closer. You'll probably have to pick me up again if you don't mind holding my buttocks one more time. I liked it. Molly couldn't tell where Craig had gone, but he wasn't in the living room. There was a light on the second floor. Molly assumed it was his office and their bedroom that were lit. Both windows overlooked our house, and she suggested that we would have a better view from the top floor. We quietly returned to our house, going upstairs where the lights were not turned on. Together, we walked to the bedroom window. Molly opened the blinds just enough to see out. She told me to stand behind her so I could look over her head so it would be harder to spot us. Stay closer so they don't see us, she said, pulling me closer so that our bodies were touching. I held the camera, using the zoom lens, to look into their bedroom. Thanks to the light in their room, I could see clearly from the darkness of our house, but there was no movement. Damn, I thought. I didn't immediately understand what was happening. What the hell are you doing, Molly? I whispered. Be quiet, otherwise they will hear us. She satisfied me. I finally came to my senses. What the hell, Molly? We're here to catch them cheating, not do it ourselves. Molly just looked at me with a sly smile. But it was nice, wasn't it? We better get out of here before your wife gets home. We quickly left the house and returned to the park where my car was parked. Molly looked at me as I parked next to her car. Well, it wasn't exactly a failure. At least we had some fun. I couldn't say anything. I was too shocked. I tried to comprehend what had happened. Molly leaned over and kissed my cheek. Don't forget, you and Jenny are invited to dinner at our place on Friday, she said with a smile. I stayed in the car in the parking lot for another half hour before I drove home. The lights were on in the house, and Jenny was in the kitchen when I entered. She greeted me with a kiss, which was unusual, and asked how my workday was. I answered evasively and immediately went upstairs, saying that I wanted to take a shower before going to bed. I didn't want to smell like Molly. As I lay in bed after my shower, I felt the bed dip and Jenny hugged me. It was the best sex we've had in a long time. I was in a bit of a fog for the next 2 days. On Wednesday evening, I received a message from Molly. She asked if I wanted to try again to catch our spouses next week. She added 2 emojis at the end. I didn't know if she was seriously suggesting this or just hinting. At dinner on Thursday, Jenny noticed that I had been looking very distant the last few days. She reminded me that we were having dinner with Craig and Molly on Friday and asked me not to stay late at work. I almost told her about Molly, but I couldn't find the words. Later that night, I texted Molly that I was going to tell Jenny and Craig what happened at dinner on Friday. My plan was to ask them for forgiveness and take all the blame on myself. I added that it would be fair. Molly replied that she would support me in any decision. On Friday evening, I was still in a kind of trance as I got ready for dinner. After I finished getting dressed, I replayed in my head several times how I was going to confess everything. I hoped that this would provoke them to admit their betrayal. If they confessed, I didn't know what would happen next. Just thinking about it made me sick. Jenny and I crossed our yard and walked to their door. Jenny didn't knock. She just opened the door and pushed me forward. I crossed the threshold and heard shouts. Surprise. The lights came on, and I saw about 25 of our friends among the holiday decorations. A banner hung from the ceiling that read, "Happy Birthday, Happy 40th Anniversary." There was too much going on, and I completely forgot that my 40th birthday is next week. It was like a brick hit. My wife did not cheat on me. She planned to surprise me for my birthday. I put on a happy expression on my face, pretending to be surprised. Everyone wished me a happy birthday. In the end, I relaxed and began to enjoy the holiday. At some point, Molly came up to me and said in a whisper, "I already gave you a gift, but I can give you another one if we sneak away." I told her to stop because it wasn't funny. Thank God Jenny didn't hear her words. All evening, my wife walked around with a proud smile, telling everyone that she managed to organize such a surprise, and I did not suspect anything. As the guests began to leave, Jenny told those who remained that she was going to give me the best gift of the evening and took me home. When we entered the house, she took my hand. "Let's go, big boy. I'm going to give you the best birthday sex you've ever had." When the sun came through the window, Jenny hugged me, pressing me from behind. "Good morning, birthday boy. I hope you enjoyed the party," she said. "Yes, it was great, and after that it's even better," I answered. Jenny looked into my eyes. "I can't believe you thought I was cheating on you." I froze. "Yes, I know," she continued. "Molly told us about your plan to catch us. It was a good plan if we actually cheated. We turned it into a party cover to make it even more of a surprise." I started mumbling something, trying to apologize. "It's okay," she stopped me. "I've given you plenty of reasons to think so. Everything has become a little monotonous. I would think so too. Oh, by the way, Molly wasn't working the nights you saw me coming home. She was at home helping us with decorations." Jenny leaned over and kissed me on the lips as I sat there with an expression of complete shock. "I really liked how she said that you took all the blame for my alleged infidelities," she added with a sly smile. I started mumbling again until I finally managed to say, "You knew I thought you were cheating and you didn't say anything. It would ruin the surprise. By the way, Molly thanked you, didn't she?" she asked with a sly smile. My face must have been quite a picture of shock. "Yes, that was my idea too. Well, Molly suggested it as a joke, but I told her to do it and Craig agreed," Jenny added, looking pleased. I had absolutely nothing to say. "Wait, you knew about this too? Damn, I'm so sorry. This happened before I could do anything. I know I should have stopped her, but I just couldn't." "I'm so sorry this happened," I said, looking into Jenny's eyes, who just smiled at me. Wait, I don't understand. Aren't you angry? Jenny put her finger to my lips. Stop it. She did this with my permission. She looked at me with her strange smile. Craig and I weren't even sure that she would decide to do this. She wrote to us later that she surprised you. To be honest, I even got horny when I put you to bed that night. To be honest, I even wondered if you were with Craig before me that evening. Jenny leaned in to kiss me again. She also told us how you planned to confess to us at dinner yesterday, even being ready to take all the blame on yourself. Very noble. Wait, are you really saying that you're not mad that your best friend satisfied me? No. I lay there for several minutes, my mouth open in surprise. Not only did my wife know that her friend did it, but she approved of it herself. Out of shock, I didn't even notice how Jenny got up and started getting dressed, holding the phone in her hands and typing something. You will have a chance for recognition tonight. Craig and Molly want us to come over to eat some leftover food and drink some alcohol. I lay in bed while Jenny came downstairs. I was completely confused. I was sure that my conservative wife was cheating on me with my friend, and now I was going to admit to her and our friends that I was a cheater. I couldn't understand why my conservative wife wasn't angry at all. I also didn't know how I'd be able to meet Molly's eyes, let alone Craig's, but I was determined to make things right. I wanted to be open and honest with everyone. During the day, Jenny teased me, asking if my speech was ready. I was nervous as my wife, and I took the short route across the yard to Craig and Molly's house. Craig met us at the door, hugged Jenny, and gave me a bear hug. Oh man, the party was great last night. You were so surprised, he said. I thanked him. It was worth all the effort we put in, he added with a wink, emphasizing the word everything. We drank a couple of beers before dinner and then moved into the living room. All eyes were directed at me. They knew that I wanted to say something. I stood up, facing the three of them, and took a deep breath. First of all, I want to thank you for an amazing party. Yes, I was completely surprised. Now I need to apologize. I'm really sorry that I thought Jenny and Craig were cheating on me, I said, looking first at Jenny and then at Craig. I made conclusions that I shouldn't have made. Craig interrupted me. Hey, buddy, we ourselves gave you a reason to think so, so part of the blame lies with us. Thanks, Craig. It makes me feel a little better. Now comes the hard part. Oh yeah, she's really difficult, Molly jokes. Damn it, Molly, this is serious. I don't want this to become a problem. Molly satisfied me, but we didn't have sex. All three looked at each other and smiled. Craig spoke up. Yes, we all know about it, and I think you know that we all agreed to this to distract you. Well, it worked. This is all. The more I think about it, the more convinced I am. You owe me, buddy, Craig said, and the women laughed and supported him. This shocked me. What? I'm not going to do this to you, Craig. Jenny helped me out. Yes, I think no one wants to see this. It's not that I'm against those who do this, but I don't want to see it either. Maybe your wife should pay off your debt, Molly said. There was silence, and all three of them stared at me. For the first time, it occurred to me that they might have planned all of this. I froze, looking at Jenny. Molly broke the silence. Honey, help me get more drinks from the kitchen. She quickly took Jenny away, leaving me alone. I looked at Jenny, who was sitting there with a smug smile. What, you want to do this to Craig? I asked. Maybe, she answered flirtatiously. Jenny moved closer to me and wrapped her arms around me. I don't have to do this at all. Molly just thought it might be fun. She said it would add a little spice to our relationship. I have to admit, I got horny that night. So what are you guys suggesting? I asked. I'm not sure that we offer anything at all. We knew you were going to confess to what Molly did. Molly said she wouldn't mind if I did the same for Craig, and he said it would be appropriate compensation. Wow, I can't believe you're suggesting this. Oh God, you're right. We shouldn't do this. Let's just stop, Jen said. But I think you like the idea. I wouldn't mind if Molly did it again for you, or if you wanted to return the favor. Are you sure about this? What if things go too far? Jenny kissed me. That wouldn't be so bad, would it? I pulled Jenny close to whisper in her ear. Are you saying what I'm thinking now? Jenny pulled back and looked me straight in the eyes. Only if you don't mind. It can be fun, and our relationship has become more interesting the last 2 times. She looked into my eyes and then kissed me on the lips. But know that I love you and I don't want to do anything that could ruin our relationship. I stood up and called Craig and Molly back into the living room. They walked in with drinks in their hands. Before they could sit down, I held out my hand for Craig to shake. You're right, I owe you, but I hope you don't mind if I don't want to do this. My wife has kindly agreed to be my deputy if you will accept it. Craig looked at his wife in surprise. It was obvious that they all thought I was joking and would not agree. Okay, if Molly doesn't mind. Molly laughed and nodded. But one condition. I don't want to see it if you don't mind. Craig looked back at his wife. Okay, I guess I can take Jenny upstairs or something. Molly walked up to her husband and kissed him on the cheek. Take Jenny upstairs, she said, emphasizing the words, and something else. Don't worry about us. I'll find a way to entertain Chris while Jenny does her duty. Jenny looked at Molly and grinned. You know, I think he owes you too. Molly laughed. Your husband has debts beyond the roof. I think we can deal with them. Jenny and Molly hugged, with Molly whispering something in Jenny's ear. Jenny giggled and went upstairs with Craig. What was that? I asked Molly. I just told your wife to take her time and enjoy the process. I'll find a way to keep you occupied while she deals with your debt. Do you really think Craig will last that long? I don't know how long it will take Jenny to pay off your debt. You'll have to think about what to do with yourself. What do you mean? I asked. We could play cards or a board game. I decided that she was serious. I don't think I can concentrate on the game while our spouses are, well, doing what they do. Molly moved closer and put her hand on my thigh. I wanted to suggest something to you, but we already did that. I think I have a better idea. Chris, do you want to go to the guest bedroom and have sex? Molly, don't you think this is too much? Chris, I lied to you before. When I whispered in your wife's ear, I told her I was giving her permission to have sex with Craig because I was going to do it to you as soon as they went upstairs. That's why she laughed. Yes, let's go to their door and see if we can hear them. Do you think they are having sex now? Excitement overwhelmed me. Molly felt my tension. We can try to stop them if you want. She let go of me and stood up, ready to go upstairs. I quickly stood up and grabbed her hand. No, I agreed to this. Let's go upstairs and I'll try to deal with this debt. We stopped at their door and listened. At first, it was difficult to understand what was happening. But when I put my ear closer, it became obvious. There was clearly sex going on in the room. Molly took my hand and pulled me into another bedroom. After we cleaned ourselves up, we went back to the living room to wait for Jenny and Craig. When they finally came down, no one had any words. Soon we went home. In our bedroom, I was the first to break the silence. Did you enjoy being with Craig today? I asked Jenny. Yes, it was nice. What about you and Molly? Yes, it was good. One might ask, was all this planned? Jenny turned away, putting on her nightgown. No, of course not. Why do you think so? Well, all 3 of you knew that I was going to confess what happened to Molly. You could see how guilty I felt. And yet, despite my suspicions about your cheating with Craig, it was Molly who pushed me to cheat. It seems rather convenient that the solution to my mistakes came down to you and Craig. Jenny turned to me with an annoyed expression on her face. Do you want to say something like this, dear? I don't want to say anything. I'm just drawing conclusions. I always thought you were modest and reserved and sorry, but conservative in sex, I answered. Her face was distorted with anger. I just thought you obviously weren't shy about going upstairs last night. You went there knowing you were going to have sex. Jenny quickly went on the defensive. Wait a minute. You started it all. And as I recall, it was you who told Craig that I would repay your debt. She was right. I let Molly do it. I was the one who suggested that Jenny do the same for Craig, and it ended with our friends and I ending up in each other's beds. Jenny quickly fell asleep, and I tossed and turned, unable to find peace. The more I thought about it, the more convinced I became that I had been set up. I again remembered the events of the last months, which now formed a complete picture. My suspicion that Jenny and Craig were too close may have been correct all along. Last night, as soon as Molly and I walked up to their bedroom, they were already having sex. My shy wife didn't think twice before going to bed with another man. I couldn't help but think that their affair had started a long time ago. I spent the entire night on the computer researching everything I could find about adultery. Jenny came downstairs around noon, looking fresh and rested. "Darling, have you been awake for a long time? I thought you'd sleep until lunch after last night," she said, noticing my exhausted appearance. "Are you okay? You don't look good." "Jenny, I have to ask again, was yesterday planned?" Her face betrays a lie she doesn't know how to lie. "What do you mean? We were just having dinner with friends. These are your conspiracy theories." "You know what I mean. Was it planned that we would go to separate rooms to have sex?" "No, it was your idea, remember?" she said quietly. "Okay, then tell me what happened in that room." Jenny laughed. "Honey, it's like Vegas. What happens in the bedroom stays in the bedroom. I'm not asking you about details with Molly or what you did in their guest room. We both had sex, all of us." She highlighted the word all. "You know that I love only you. I'm just confused. Just a week ago, I thought you were cheating on me with Craig. I was literally furious about this. And now I know you and Craig hooked up, and I shouldn't care. Wait a minute, do you want to be a hypocrite in this situation? You started it all yourself. You yourself suggested that I repay your debt. And then, when we went upstairs, you slept with Molly yourself." I saw that Jenny was starting to get angry. While I didn't directly accuse her of cheating with Craig, I came too close to it. Her defensive reaction only confirmed my suspicions that this was all planned. But I realized that further conversation in this vein would not yield anything. It would only make her even angrier. I needed proof before I brought this up again. Monday night, I told Jenny that I needed to stay late at work on Wednesday and that she wouldn't expect me for dinner. Jenny joked that she hoped it was just an excuse to keep an eye on her and Craig, suspecting them of cheating. She also let it slip that if I really decided to spy on them, I would have to do it alone, since Molly was actually working the night shift this week. I laughed with her, but it bothered me that my wife knew Craig's wife's schedule. When I went online, I was surprised to find that you can buy a small Wi-Fi camera at Walmart for very little money. For $50, I purchased the necessary device. I set up the camera so that it was pointed at our bed, assuming that this was where everything would happen. I was kicking myself for not adding cameras to our security system sooner. However, the system we already had allowed us to track when the doors in the house opened and closed. I could watch everything through my phone. If the door had opened, I would have turned on the camera. It would record audio and video, but only transmit video over Wi-Fi. Suspicions increased when Jenny called me at 4:30 p.m. She said that she called in case I suddenly didn't stay late at work in time to cook dinner. It seemed to me that she was just checking to see if I was going to return home. Sitting in the office, I stared at the phone screen. 10 minutes after Jenny hung up the phone, the back door of the house opened and immediately closed. I panicked, thinking I had made a mistake, and they headed towards Craig's house. But then the motion indicator in the kitchen came on the security app. I remembered motion detectors, which I had not thought about at all. 5 minutes passed before the motion sensor in the hallway near the stairs turned on. If Craig was home, they headed upstairs. I closed the security app and opened the camera app. When I turned on the camera, the screen was dark. My heart sank when the light turned on. The camera was aimed at the bed, not at the door, and all I saw was an empty bed. Perhaps I was mistaken, I thought, as I watched the minutes tick by and the bed remain empty. But my worst fears were confirmed. I put the phone down, unable to look at what was happening anymore. After a while, when I looked again, they were lying down hugging each other. I would like to hear what they were saying, but the camera didn't pick up the sound. I watched as they were probably discussing what had happened and preparing for the next round. I couldn't stand it and sent Jenny a message that I was going home. I saw her read the message, stop Craig, and they quickly began to pack up. When I got home, Jenny was sitting in front of the TV and said she was sorry I had to stay late. When I asked what she was doing, she replied, "Watching boring TV shows, I think I'll go to bed." The next morning, I got up early to sneak the camera and remove the memory card. In the office, using my personal laptop, I looked through the notes. I skipped the part where they made love, hoping to hear their conversations afterwards. They didn't disappoint. In the video, they were lying naked on our bed, having a conversation that was a sincere confession. Craig said it was their 6-month anniversary of cheating, and Jenny expressed concerns about my suspicions. It turned out that they were going to involve me in their club, but Jenny doubted whether I was ready. Craig began insisting that Jenny and I join their club, claiming that everything had already been decided. He said it was too late to back out, especially after I became part of their scheme, and mentioned that Molly was also waiting impatiently. When I heard Craig mention how he had told other men at the club about Jenny, it became clear to me that they intended to involve us in something much more than simple cheating. I decided it was time to stop this before it went any further. After watching the recording, I realized that I needed to prepare for the conversation with Jenny. I contacted a friend, an attorney, who referred me to a divorce specialist. The next night at dinner, I asked Jenny to talk. We started by discussing the events of the weekend. When I expressed my desire to end any relationship with Craig and Molly, Jenny looked upset. She claimed that everything started on my initiative and reminded me that I authorized what was happening. However, when I asked the direct question, "Was Saturday night the first time you slept with Craig?" Jenny lied when she said it was true. I turned on the camera recording. A scene appeared on screen where Jenny and Craig discussed their 6-month romance. At that moment, she realized that all her attempts to hide the truth were over. Jenny burst into tears and begged for forgiveness. I told her my terms. Either she signs a prenuptial agreement with a mandatory renunciation of any contact with Craig and Molly, or we get a divorce. She immediately agreed, assuring that she wanted to save our marriage. The next day, I met with a lawyer and brought home 2 documents, a divorce petition and a prenuptial agreement. Before our conversation, I gave Jenny time to read and sign the contract. After signing, I hugged her, but warned her that there was a difficult road ahead to restoring trust. That evening, I invited Craig and Molly over for dinner. When they arrived, I made it clear that I was aware of their plan and had no intention of participating. Craig tried to blame it on Jenny, but I interrupted him by turning on the recording of their conversations. Molly, seeing that everything was exposed, screamed that she would sue for the blow I gave Craig. But her threat was meaningless. I had evidence of their deception. I kicked them out of the house and asked them to never appear in our lives again. We soon sold the house and moved out to start a new chapter away from this drama. A year later, Jenny learned that Craig and Molly had lost their jobs due to incriminating material that had come to light regarding their lifestyle. We smiled, realizing that justice had prevailed. Jenny smiled when I walked into the house and told me how Craig and Molly had lost their jobs because of the photos their employers had gotten their hands on. The pictures were apparently taken at a club and included incriminating shots of Molly with married doctors from her hospital and Craig with a secretary from his office. Someone took these photos and passed them on to ruin their lives, Jenny said thoughtfully. I smiled, knowing that the truth had prevailed. Hugging her, I said, "I guess this is what they call karma or retribution." From that moment on, our lives began to improve. We no longer had contact with Craig and Molly, and moving to a new house allowed us to put that chapter behind us. The difficulties we went through taught us to be more open with each other, and although our connection was not restored immediately, we both tried to save our marriage. Over time, Jenny proved her devotion to her family. She avoided all contact with Craig, Molly, and their circle. She made every effort to regain my trust, which took more than 1 year. But most importantly, we both realized that honesty and mutual understanding are most important. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think, click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click